Hello, hello, and welcome to A Bubbly Life or Combos for a Bubbly Life. I'm your host, Tiara, aka T, and I love to live a life that is bubbly. And what that means is a life that is extraordinary, a life that we get to choose, a life in which we decide what we want to experience and we take action to do that. So I'm really excited to be here and inspire you to do all the things. And I'm even more excited because I have the lovely Jen Kohler here today to talk about the luxurious, beautiful thing that is travel. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hi, I am so good. I just got out of like super deep meditation. So I'm like right here with you now. Like I like feel it. I'm like grounded. I'm good.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, I wanted to have this conversation because I know I have a wanderlust and I love to travel and I love to do all the things. And I'm trying to like manifest like seeing the world right now. Like I know the panorama is like kind of killing us and like killing my vibe right now to do all
Mhm.
the things. But I really want to just like talk more about it, get our minds open because 2022 is going to be the year, friends. And I
Yeah.
know I want to host retreats. I know Jen's got things planned. So like we're ready to like jump in it and talk about it. So first things first, Jen, where are
Yes.
some of the places that you've been?
Oh my gosh. I love that that's like where we're going to go. So first of all, I have traveled all over the 50 United States. So I've been to almost every state in the country over the course of my lifetime.
Mhm.
And many of those times have just been like pure road tripping, going on tour, music tours,
Ooh.
um, camping, just really exploring. So I love to explore. I love a good road trip. That is like one of my most favorite things. Where else have I been? I've been all over Europe. As a young person, I was very privileged and got to go to France as a high school student. That was really what made me love international travel
Mhm.
because, oh my gosh, here I was, 17, 16 years old in France, like living my best life, getting to drink wine, like just so fun, getting immersed with a family. It was so beautiful. I studied in France, so I was a French major, and so I lived in France and went to school there as a college student. And then my boyfriend came, and we traveled all over via the Eurail, and just went everywhere. We went to France and Spain and Germany. We went all the way almost to the Ukraine, which was amazing. We went to Poland, went to the Czech Republic, went north, went south. We just kind of did like everything. We were very, very, very adventurous and young. I think I turned 19 in France.
That is so cool.
That was really fun. And then when I got older, I traveled again. So in 2003, my husband and I actually met traveling, and we went to Southeast Asia. We went to the Pan Pacific, and we traveled for 8 months, and I did not know him yet.
That oh my I have to say that like besides like rooming with someone, like you really know someone when you can travel with someone. And I feel like
Yeah.
I can handle living with some people more than I can handle traveling with them because like let's talk about like trying to miss like getting like almost
Yes.
missing a flight or something like that. That is
Yes.
how you truly know a friend.
Yes, you get to know a person very deeply by backpacking, number
Oh,
one, with them and going to really poor places. And like, I mean, staying in places that were like, $1 a night and things like that. But you get to know people by staying in hostels with them. You get to know people by what their backpack looks like. You get to know them by how they pack their pack. You get to know them by what they bring and how much they bring and how they manage the stress of being in a foreign country because it can be really stressful. If you're losing your passport every day, raise your hand, me. If you're raising your passport, or if you're missing your passport on a daily basis and you're in panic mode, you really get to know a person.
yes, I will say that like I I was kind of like taught to be like very, oh, you have to be like 3 hours early for an international flight and 2 hours early for a regular flight. And now I probably like when I like was dating Jay and he has TSA pre-check, he traveled like on a weekly basis for 4 years. So his idea of getting to the airport is like if he has to check a bag, okay, then he'll get there like like right before they close accepting checking bags. Like that is his time frame, right?
You
So
know.
like running across the airport to make sure that we're at the gate in time. Like he's so chill about it. And so that is like rubbed off on me now. Like I'm like, oh, I have TSA pre-check. Like I don't even check a bag. So I will stroll up 15 minutes before, walk through that security and get to my gate and be like, oh, is it time to get on the plane now? Yes, it is. Okay, thank you. Like that's how I like to travel now.
I used to be like that, but then with all of the like changes and with also having a child,
Mm.
I much prefer to be early now if I can get a drink.
Oh, I don't mind. Like if I'm early, I know now that I'm like gonna have to spend $25 on maybe one drink, but like
Truth.
I plan that in my head. But now I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I can be more easeful. I don't have to stress out about missing. My
Oh.
latest trip, we went to San Diego. And I say we as if I was with other people, but
It
I
was me,
don't
myself, and I.
me, myself, and I. And I found out that the Amtrak station, I'm thinking more like the metro where I can like get there and kind of like walk on. But there's like a bunch of lanes that you have to get past at the downtown LA one. So I'm like running because my
Oh.
train happened to be the furthest one away. And I'm like running and I like get up the stairs onto the platform. I'm dripping sweat. There's a guy, my bag bust open as I'm running. I'm
Oh
wearing
no.
over overpacked backpack. My bag busts open. This guy who works there, I guess security, he like helps me, like grabs my bag and like is trying to close it for me as I'm running up the stairs. And he's like, "Why are you so late? Why are you so late?" And like yelling at me in Spanish. And I'm like, ah. And then like
You're
he's
like, because I'm super chill.
and he's like trying to walkie-talkie the conductor or someone to slap the conductor, and he was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna make it," and like it drove
Oh,
away. It's like literally closed the doors and started moving as I like
yeah.
raced the top of the stairs, and I was like, okay, so today I learned that we don't show up that close to like it. I looked at the my ticket and it was like show up 30 minutes early, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, it leaves in like 5 minutes, and I'm like in the car being driven to
Yeah. So in that case, you might want to like be a little earlier.
be a little bit earlier, to be
I
20
love
minutes
you.
before your train, especially if you've never been to the station before and you have no idea what it looks like. So you have an understanding of that.
Totally.
And there's always another train is the other thing that I learned. I like went to the Amtrak desk and I was like, so I missed my train. And the guy was like, oh no. And I was like, and then he was like, like, it's fine. Just
He's like, we'll get you another one.
he was like, you don't even have to do anything. You can just sit there. There'll be another one in like an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, well, that was anticlimactic.
Good to know. Good to know.
Well, thank you, sir. But with all of that being said, why did you choose some of the places that you chose to travel?
Well, my European adventures were, of course, because I was in college and I was, living my best European life. But when we went to the Pan Pacific, there was a reason that I went there. I went to visit my friend. So my very good friend from Humboldt County, where I lived in California, she had a little girl. She has a little girl, and well, who's like a 21-year-old now. And she moved to Australia, and she was like, Jen, you need to come. Like, we're gonna only be here for like a year. And 21 years later, they still live in Australia. And I said, okay, but I don't have any money really. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, just get here. Like, just figure it out. Like, you can do this. So I like just started squirreling away all of my money. And I was young. I mean, I was 28, and I like got all of this money together and I bought an around the world ticket. And I went through a travel agent, and I knew that I wanted to do some traveling that would take me to Australia.
Mm,
And so I found this, like, I did lots of research and I decided I really wanted to go to Fiji. I wanted to go to New Zealand. And I knew I wanted to go to Southeast Asia. So I knew that I had to get to all of those places and still spend lots of time in Australia. So I just started like researching and playing, and You know, I mean, this is a long time ago, so the internet wasn't nearly as good as it is now, but I got lots of books and I booked through a travel agency. And my ticket, I'm not even joking you, my whole entire ticket was like $1,600.
Shut up.
And I flew all over. I mean, we flew all the way from LA to New Zealand, or to Fiji to New Zealand, New Zealand to Australia, Australia to Bali, Bali to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Thailand, Hong Kong. I was supposed to go to India. I ended up not going to India, but all of that and to come back to the US was all $1,600.
Stop it. I can't.
I
Like it
know.
like time because when I went to Italy, that was $1,400
Right, just to go to Italy,
just
right?
to go to Italy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a long time ago, but it was also through travel agent who
Mhm.
it was like all these really flexible tickets, and I flew like China Air,
Mm,
which I don't recommend
yeah.
highly. I flew like Garuda, maybe. I don't remember. I flew some really random airlines at very random times. You know, I mean, sometimes my flights would leave at like 1 in the morning, and I would just be like, I'm at the airport, like doing my thing, waiting for my flight, you know, and so, I mean, really what it came down to for me was picking places that I knew I had always wanted to go to, where I knew I was going to be really adventurous and I wanted to um, be alone. I wanted to travel alone. Now, I did end up meeting my husband and he did like travel with me for a long time, but I did have times where I traveled alone and I did dream of traveling alone. And I just wanted to see the world and be adventurous. I mean, that's really what it came down to. And I deeply and truly believe that my life is meant to be an adventure and my life is meant to be something big. And I knew that going to these places was going to help me to expand as a human and to grow and to amplify myself, even if I didn't have all of that languaging then.
Right.
I knew that those things would happen for me. And I had a lot of people saying, "I can't believe you're going to go do this. Like, how do you have this much money and you don't have enough money and you're going to be alone and you're a woman."
Mhm.
And I was like, it could be my day to die tomorrow. Like I could be like walk out in front of a bus tomorrow. I could like roll down a hill in Humboldt County and no one would ever find me. Like I can't live my life in fear. I've never ever been a person who lived my life in a fearful place. And I've always just wanted to expand. I mean, I think that's really what it looks like.
I love that. So you touched on a couple of things that I want to definitely go into. So first things first, money. I feel like when
Mhm,
it comes to travel, that I know for me, that's like the number one thing when like someone's like, oh, let's go to Fiji. I'm like, how much money is that? And
mhm,
like in my brain. And so that's like a resistance wall. And I know it's a resistance wall
mhm.
for a lot of people. So can you like talk us through kind of how you worked with that? And then like any tips you might have to, making sure that you have that financial prosperity to do what you want to do.
Oh, it's so good because now I like teach about financial prosperity and
Yes.
I really teach about how to embody wealth. Hello. And back then, I think how I really felt was that everything was always working out for me.
Mhm.
Like I really believed that everything was always working out for me. And it did. And I just knew when I put my mind to something that I would create the money that I needed. And yes, I lived a life of very deep privilege. I mean, I came from a family that had enough means to like send me to college and all of those things. And I was able to take out credit cards. So, I mean, of course, I had credit card debt from all of this travel that I did. But I also worked and put money away and I like didn't have any. I had a really small apartment and I didn't have a lot of like expenditures and I just saved my money in a way that felt like an accumulation. I sort of was accumulating that money knowing that I was going to go and do this amazing trip. And I mean I frankly don't really know how I like got all of the money together to do it except for that I just made it happen. I took little odd jobs and I like just kept bringing the money. The money just flowed to me knowing that it had a purpose. I think that that's a big piece of it is knowing that it had a place to go. Money just continued to flow to me. And so I don't know. I mean, my parents didn't even give me any money for this trip, and I just made it happen. And I am not exactly sure how. Now, now I really understand that I am the creator of my life. And maybe I really understood that then. I just didn't have the languaging for it.
Right.
But I now know that I create everything that I see, and I create everything that I am and that I have. And I deeply believe that I am source energy, and I deeply believe that money is source energy. And so therefore, I am the creator of all of my own abundance. And when I look back on my life, I see that play out, even when I didn't have all of the words for that.
Mhm.
Everything is working out for me. I believe that I live in a friendly universe, and I always have. So I think that that's a big part of why I've always been able to do the things that I want to do. It's like magic. It like just always works out. Like I want to go on this flight. I'm going to go to this place and it's going to work. And it always did. I mean, when we were in Australia, we went to Uluru and we went to Kakadu National Park, which is like in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Like got like a four-wheel, they call it a ute. And I mean, we were out there for 2 weeks. I mean, what an incredible experience. Like, I just, it's shocking to me to think of the things that I've done in my life and like that I created all of that. And I think that having a lot of gratitude and having the belief that it's all coming to me, and not like that it's not like an expectation that like I do deserve it, but it's not like an entitled experience. It's like this is my life and this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm creating. I'd rather go to Australia than have like a gown and like shoes. So maybe that is where I like put my focus. So
Mhm.
where your focus goes, right? Where your focus goes, or where your energy goes, your focus grows. I can't think of the right saying right now. But you know what I'm saying. So where we're focusing our energy, that is where we are putting all of our flow to. And so that for me has always been adventure. It's a core value, freedom, adventure. Those are things that I value deeply in my life. And those are things that my parents valued deeply as well.
I love that. I love it. I can see the same thing. Like as I'm like thinking about my life and like the traveling experiences that I've had, where it's just like, oh, well, like I really wanted to do this or I really wanted to do that, or why would you go to Thailand? No, you don't know anyone in Thailand. Because it sounded fun. Okay. Like that's what I want.
Because it's amazing.
Because it's freaking amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, beautiful experiences. We like hopped around, did amazing things. Like I had like dude, we had like a private boat tour, like a fucking private boat tour on this like I don't know what is it, a catamaran? I don't know what it's called, but like this big boat, and we took us to all these
Sweet.
beautiful islands off of the coast of PP Island, and like oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. They gave us snorkeling equipment. We got to snorkel, and they threw
Hmm.
food so that the fish would fly in our face. Like amazing,
Incredible.
amazing, incredible experiences.
Yeah.
And like in those, especially in those kind of spaces, like the fact that like to tip someone $20 and like have them burst into tears is
Yeah.
just
It's unheard of because in Thailand, $20 goes a really long way, or
yeah.
it used to. I don't know if it still does, but
I mean, it was, I don't know, I guess this was probably like 5 years ago at this point now, but it was just
yeah,
so amazing,
it's
and I wouldn't
beautiful.
trade it for the world. uh
Yeah.
And so I want to shift a little bit to talking about like traveling alone. Like I went to Italy, like when I went by myself. I stayed with host families once I got over, whatever. So that was it was a very different experience than anything I've ever experienced. So like, can you talk to me a little bit about like what it was like to travel alone for you?
So I did travel a lot in Europe alone when I was quite young.
Mhm.
And for me, it was a real confidence booster. It just really made me feel like I could do anything. And like putting my mind to something has always been something that I've done. I am definitely a leader and I go first. That's like definitely something about me. So I've traveled to Europe alone. I traveled around Europe quite a bit by myself. And I was quite young. So, I think that I probably made decisions that I wouldn't make today, but I was a confident human. And again, I've always just known that life was working out for me. So I just allow that to be true for me. And I'm curious and I'm open and I'm fun. And I have always been this adventurous spirit. So I would say definitely having confidence in myself, standing in my power, knowing who I am, those sorts of things have always been really strong for me. And then when I traveled in this Pan-Pacific trip, so I went for 6 weeks by myself to Bali. And my now husband stayed back in Australia, and we weren't even supposed to be together, and we kind of had decided that we liked each other. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna leave you, but I have to go to Bali by myself. Like, this is part of my path. It's just part of what I have to do. So I get to Bali and I have zero plan. I have I have no plan. I have nowhere to stay. I have no taxi picking me up. I have nothing. And I am fine with that. And
Mhm.
so I like start going through customs and they're like, but where are you going to go? And I was like, I don't know. I'm sure I'll find something. They did not like that answer. They
They don't.
almost sent me back to Australia. And then they finally, after me begging and pleading for quite some time, they let me through customs. And I found out that it's a good idea when you travel to a foreign country to have a place to stay, that you have a place to write on your form that you're coming in and you know what hotel you're staying at. Doesn't matter if you stay there for the rest of the time. It's a good idea. So I was in Bali for 6 weeks by myself, and I met amazing people, and I flew by the seat of my pants, and I stayed in the most glorious hotels for nothing. I mean, I stayed in the most beautiful places that I thought were beautiful. And traveling alone made me realize that it is nice sometimes to have a partner.
Mhm.
I love traveling. I loved traveling alone. I got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
The first couple of days that I was alone in Bali, I lost probably about $500. Someone took me to an ATM machine and demanded that I give them most of my money.
No.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's true. It's okay. I actually learned some Indonesian, and then I went back and I found those people and I told them off.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I did. But I called it learning money because I was really offended. I was so offended that like in my confidence I like got screwed over.
Yeah.
And it could have been dangerous. Thankfully it wasn't. Um and I lost a lot of my money, you know, learning money. So I learned a lot about who to talk to, who not to talk to, and how to just sort of stand in my power a little more deeply and
Mhm.
to say no and to walk away. And I met amazing people. I met people who I still am in contact with today, 20 years later almost. And um, I just I really learned where to walk, where not to walk, like things like that. I mean, when you're an American and you're white and you're in walking around and places where that's not the norm, you stick out. And I looked like a tourist, and I got treated like a tourist in some ways. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to be really resilient. I learned how to stand up for myself. I learned that I'm really good at learning foreign languages very
Oh,
quickly, which is really cool.
that is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, traveling alone is not for the faint of heart, I don't think. And also, I think it's something that everyone should do
Mhm.
because I think it's something that can really help you to stand in your power.
Oh yeah. I know that I learned a lot about myself going to Italy, and like when I think back on some of the times that were like weren't as exciting as others, it's just like, oh, I wish I had someone to share this with moments, or like, am I okay to like come out, like step out of my shell a little bit and put myself out there to like meet a new person while I'm there. Like,
Yeah.
and these like super amazing things happen when you kind of like break break that wall down a little bit and like open up a little bit and like engage with new people.
Yes.
So
Going to a coffee shop, going to a little bar, like sitting down at a restaurant.
mhm,
Those are all really great ways to be alone with yourself and to like look at the world, but then also like to engage a conversation next to you, to talk to a person, right? I mean, I've met some of the most fascinating people I've ever met and on the planet just going and sitting at a cafe for 4 hours.
so cool.
Yeah.
But you have to really be confident in yourself in order
You
to
have
do
to be
stuff like that.
confident. Yeah. And you also have to do it. You
Yeah.
have to like, you have to take yourself, like you said, out of your shell and like place yourself into this space and be like, I am open. I am curious. Here I am.
Here I am. And then you might have a creepy old man put his hand on your thigh because that happened to me in Italy. And I was like, nope, no, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Super possible. Super possible. And you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't like the word be careful. I like to pay attention. Pay
Pay
attention to your surroundings, listen to your intuition. Listen to your intuition. Your gut never lies to you when you're traveling
attention.
or
I
really
love
ever.
that because we don't need to be like in fear. Is like I
Mm-mm.
feel like so often it's like, oh, someone's gonna take my money, someone's gonna take advantage
Yeah,
of me.
they
This is
might.
gonna happen. I'm gonna lose something. I can't go pee because I have to watch my like my
Yeah.
luggage, all of this stuff.
Mm.
Trust your intuition. Know like be know where you are, know who's around you, and you're gonna be fine.
And live your life.
Yeah.
And live your life because life is too short to not live your life. And don't be attached to all your crap. I've lost lots of things traveling.
Yeah.
Many things have been stolen. Things have been stolen from me, whatever. Don't be attached to your stuff. Don't bring stuff that you really love. Don't bring your $16,000 camera with you on a
Nope.
trip to wherever.
I mean, also back up
Or
your
do.
Because when you have Wi-Fi, my lesson was when you have Wi-Fi, make sure everything is backing up to the cloud. Because I definitely lost my phone in Bangkok. And it was a day. Or if you are so inclined, invest in having that global Wi-Fi or global data, because now that's a thing.
I mean, now, like if you're traveling now, you can bring your cell phone with you. That's like amazing.
Right? Oh my God.
Yeah. That's like, I'm like, did not travel during those periods of time.
Or getting like I traveled during the time of like you get a new SIM card, but I didn't know how that worked, so I didn't do it the first time I like went international. And now I'm like,
I
oh,
love it.
hey Verizon, I'm going to Mexico, so can you just like
Yeah.
turn my data on? And they're like, oh, you have this much available per day for $5 extra or something like that. And I'm like,
Ah, that's totally worth it.
I'm like, that's worth it because if I turn my Wi-Fi or turn my data on and go somewhere and I lose my phone, I can at least find my iPhone again,
I love it.
or at least it backs up. One of the two. Oh,
Love
okay. I'm
it.
gonna double check my list of questions. So you brought up, and I kind of want to tap into this a little bit. So like you brought up like being white while you're traveling, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like it's definitely a different experience being white versus being black when we're traveling. Like I know for me, when I travel, like I have had many people ask me, like, so like, is it okay for black people wherever you went? Like, is it okay for black
Mhm.
people? It's okay. Like, I mean, for me, my my intuition says that they were chill as like as long as I had money, like it was cool. Like everyone was nice,
Mhm.
everyone was polite, and like if I tipped, and I tip well. I am a very good tipper. So if you, like drinks are always flowing and no one's like trying to like come at me. I'm also a big girl, so that no one's gonna really carry me off that easily. So I'm like,
You're like, I got
know what,
this.
friend?
Good.
I got this. I'm staying put, friend. But yeah,
Mhm.
so I've always felt like I think one of my favorite instances was just like when we were in Thailand, Jay had green hair and they called him Dennis Rodman, and I thought that was hilarious.
That's funny. That's funny.
And I was like, that was like the only thing I think most people can tell when you're an American,
Yes.
when you're
Or
entering.
like a Westerner to
Yeah,
some
a
degree. Mhm.
Westerner. And so like, people I got asked about like who I voted for a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I told them who I voted for, that they would tell me how much they did not like the other person and they're glad that I voted who I
Uh-huh.
voted.
That's funny.
That's about it. That was my experience.
Yeah. I'm being a white person and traveling, I mean, it's steeped in privilege generally. I would say you stick out like a sore thumb, at least I did, where, we stuck out wherever we went. We were backpacking. So, I mean, we were with a lot of other backpackers. There's a lot of Westerners that are doing this,
Right.
right? Like there's a lot of Australians that travel, that take a gap year and travel. There was a lot of Kiwis that were traveling at the same time as we were, lots of Brits that were traveling. And most people thought that we were one of those three.
Mhm.
I think it was probably just where we were because we were in the Pan Pacific, and we also had we had a very affected accent from having been in New Zealand and in Australia for several months. So I think that we talked funny. Like people thought that they thought we were Kiwi.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought we were Canadians, which we liked because a lot of people don't like Americans.
Yeah. I will swap
You know,
Canadian in a heartbeat.
Americans like don't have the best reputation around the world by any stretch of the imagination.
Mhm.
And so if somebody thought I was from somewhere else, I didn't usually correct them.
Right.
Um, and but we also were treated beautifully. I would say in general,
Mhm.
like everywhere I went, I was treated beautifully, just like another person. And I found that in Asia, particularly, I mean, I seemed giant. I'm only 5'4". So I felt very big, very tall, very large. Like I was like, I am huge here. But in general, I mean, we were treated beautifully. People like were very kind to us everywhere that we went, in Thailand, in Singapore, in Malaysia. Malaysia was amazing. I loved Malaysia. I loved Thailand. Thailand was incredible. And Bali was probably my favorite place I've ever been in the world. The Balinese people were so gracious and warm and welcoming and kind, and we really got to know them because we spent a lot of time there. So I spent a lot of time there. Me, myself, and I.
I love
Bill did come to meet me at the end of that Balinese part, but I spent that whole time in Bali just meeting people and knowing people. And I stayed in one community quite a bit and used it as a hub, Ubud, long before it was very popular. And it was, I mean, I just like made friends. I made friends with local people, and it was really wonderful. They threw me a birthday party. This little bar that I like, bar, coffee shop, restaurant that I hung out in, they like found out that it was my birthday party, found out that I loved carrot cake, got me an organic carrot cake with cream cheese frosting,
what?
made palm frond decorations and signs, closed the bar to the public, and had a birthday party for me on my 29th birthday.
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
loved them. They were so good. And one of the like, there was like a man and wife who like owned the bar, and their little girl like sang songs to me. I mean, it was like the
Aw,
sweetest thing.
I love
So
that.
always loved all of my traveling, and to me, it just makes me feel more humble.
Mhm.
you
Oh yes. Oh
know.
yes. It's just amazing to see how other people live,
Mhm.
and it's like the energy you put out is the energy you're gonna get. Like, there's no need to like put out fear because like everything's working out for us. And there's
Yes.
more. I feel like some media makes it seem like it's a angry, scary, crazy world out there,
Dangerous.
but like no, it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be.
And most people feel that way about the United States. Like people over there were like, will I get shot?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, you live in California? Oh,
Oh.
yeah. And I was like, no, it's not that bad. Like, come on. I know lovely, wonderful people, but it's true. Like, you find that people are people
Mhm.
everywhere that you go, and they are humans with the same desires and needs and love that you have. And that's like my favorite part of traveling is people.
The people. And since we are people that love to travel, and I know you're getting people together to travel. What are you doing? What are you working on?
Well, I have always, so another place that I went was Costa Rica for my honeymoon. We went there for 3 weeks. My God, I loved Costa Rica. It was so good. Um, and Bill and I had the whole time that we were there, we like dreamt of buying a retreat center
Ooh.
and like really like bringing people together. And so fast forward, we've been married for 15 years now. I am finally going to do a retreat. So embody retreats are happening. My retreat is going to be with Michelle Lane this time. And I decided that for my very first retreat, it would probably be a really good choice to partner with someone who had done this before. And we're going to be going to the Tahoe area. So Truckee is right outside of Tahoe. And we have a luxurious, beautiful mountain chalet home at the top of the mountain. It
Mm.
is going to be amazing. We are really all about that creation energy and really bringing people together in creation. So if you are ready to move through some healing processes and really open yourself up to what's next, that is what we are putting out there. So embody success, embody, prosperity, embody your wealth, and really find out what's possible for you and come and get some luxury in the in between.
Yes, I'm all luxury is I'm gonna change my name actually. It's gonna be now my middle name. Because that is my core desired feeling. Freedom and luxury
Yes.
all in that
Me too.
ball of awesomeness.
Yes.
So I will definitely include the link to how you can take part in this retreat in the
Yes.
description. So check it out if that's something that you're interested in. I know for myself, I will definitely be planning at least 2 retreats for 2022, probably one in California, the second one, I don't know, and maybe something more. But all I gotta say is it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be luxurious and fun. That's what we're gonna do. So make sure that you look out for
Awesome.
the waiting list going up on my website for all of that. Is there anything
Beautiful.
else that you would love to share with us, Jen?
Just seek more adventure, seek more. This is a big, beautiful, wide world, and it is so fun to go out there and explore it and be a part of it. Like immerse yourself. I think it's so fun. It is so fun. Life is supposed to be fun and we should go and see the world.
Exactly. That's what we're all about here in A Bubbly Life. So if you're not already part of the Bubbly Life membership, make sure that you go to the link, check it out. There's also so many beautiful places and spaces that are also listed on the website, including the co-op, which is a space that both Jen and I are leaders of, and we collaborate. And so make sure that you're inside there because there's so much just good, yummy awesomeness over there. So come hang out with us. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for watching or listening, however you're taking this in. And I love you so, so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jen.